One of my fall favorite healthy things to eat is the butternut squash. As much as I love it, my wife isn't the biggest fan. So, what do? Well, we make it fancy, and today I'm going to show you how to make butternut squash risotto. Stay tuned. What you're going to need for this recipe is 2 cups of butternut squash, peeled and cubed, 1 medium yellow onion or shallot halved, 1 medium yellow onion diced, 3 tablespoons of dried sage, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 tablespoons organic butter or plant-based alternative, 2 cups of arborio rice, 3/4 cup Chardonnay, 8 cups of vegetable broth, separated 2 and 6, 2 cloves of garlic, minced, juice of 2 lemons, half a cup of nutritional yeast, salt and pepper, and sage leaves for garnish. But the most important thing, and the secret ingredient, the cast iron skillet. You certainly don't have to have one of these, but it is kind of the secret to a great tasting risotto. So you're going to take your butternut squash, your halved onion or shallot, along with some sage, the olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. Stick that in an oven at 400 degrees until your butternut squash is fork tender. In your cast iron skillet, get your garlic, your butter, and your shallot or onion going for about 5 minutes. When that gets translucent or starts to brown, you're going to dump in your rice and the rest of your sage. And then you want to, we're stuck in there. Get the rest of your sage in there. And you want to mix the coat real quick so nothing burns, especially in that cast iron skillet. And then you're going to dump in your Chardonnay. Again, that's 3/4 of a cup. And you're going to let this absorb. So cook it down until a little bit it absorbs. And then you'll be adding 2 cups of broth at a time. You can see our Chardonnay here is absorbed into the rice. Now we're going to do our broth. Like I said, we're just going to do 2 cups at a time until it absorbs. And this should all be done, 1 cup. This should all be done while your butternut squash and your shallots are in the oven. We're going to make a puree out of that. And that's what's going to get our butternut squash in here and a nice creamy texture to our risotto. So while our rice is cooking, we should be doing it at a slow boil, stirring it every so often, make sure it doesn't burn. We're going to take our butternut squash, our mixture from the oven. We're going to take our broth, our nutritional yeast, and our lemon juice. We're going to throw it here in the food processor, and we're going to blend that up. All right, so we're going to have kind of like a thin puree here, basically a butternut squash broth, and we're going to add that as the final steps into our risotto. All right, so we've gotten a bunch of our broth in here, and it's cooking down really, really well. You can see we just got it at that simmer, just letting it cook down. So all of our regular broth is in there. Now it's time, just like we did the other stuff, just to add a little bit at a time, 1, maybe 2 cups. Make sure to keep stirring it, and this is where it really starts to get really good. You're going to start to see that orange color in there from the butternut squash. We're just going to keep adding it until it cooks down, until we get it to the consistency that we want it, which is basically a creamy rice. All right, so risotto, creamy rice. We've got our texture here, nice and creamy. It does take quite a while to do, but now we're ready to put it onto our plate.